Hey, in a message of power, it is time to talk about traffic, and traffic is so important. Incredibly important. It's like the lifeblood of your business, okay? Because you've got your incredible brand, you've got your webinar, you've got your course, you know where you're going, you've done your business projections, right? So you should be at the point now where you're starting to really think about, right, okay, great. How do I get people registered for my webinar, and how do I get people to show up for my webinar? Okay, so that's what this particular step is all about. Now, I need you to understand some key fundamental things here is that you can sink a lot of money into traffic and lose a lot of money in traffic if you go about it the wrong way. So I need you to understand the concepts here first, the foundational level stuff here first, before you go and chuck money at Facebook advertising, okay? Now, before I go too much further, I do also want you to know that I recommend people who I put below here. Below this video, there will be people here who can help you out with your traffic. And the reason why I'm recommending them is I know that they are the real deal. Many of you should not know anything more than the basic concepts of traffic. Many of you should not be running your own traffic. And by running your own traffic, I mean Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. You shouldn't be doing it yourself because it takes you way too much out of your flow. This is a part where probably 90% of you should be doing this as an outsourcing task, okay? You should be outsourcing this to other people. So anyone that you see below here, I recommend, I've tested them, they've either run traffic for me, or I've gone way down deep into their course, or I've had other people who have run traffic, who they've run traffic for. Or they're recommended by one of my friends who has had a ton of traffic run for them, okay? So anyone below here, you can trust to run your traffic for you, okay? So for those of you, for many of you, you're actually not going to need to run your own traffic, but you need to understand enough about it so you don't get screwed over, okay? That's really, really, really important here because believe me, I've been screwed over massively in this area here. I had my course ready to go. I had my brand ready to go. I had the webinar ready to go. And I was like, sweet, now what? And then I spent money on solo ads. Nobody showed up. I bawled my freaking eyes out. And then what else? I showed up to have this meeting with this joint venture broker, and he basically swore at me and told me that I was a worthless piece of crap. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I've invested all this money, all this time. I've got this webinar. I just want people to show up to my webinar. And I genuinely started to panic. I was like, this is just not good anymore. Where is the traffic? I just want people to register for my freaking webinar. And seriously, I'm being very honest with you right now. And that's why you need to pay attention to this part. You really need to pay attention to this part here. Because I've shelled out 30% of my gross profits to people that have run traffic for me. I've shelled out 20% of net profit to people. I've shelled out a lot of money to get people to run traffic for me. And I was not being savvy at all. So although I had a very successful webinar, I ended up shelling out a lot of money because I did it the wrong way. Okay, you want to do it the right way, right? Good. Okay, so this is all about traffic and getting people to show up for your webinar. And the first part here, we're going to be talking about traffic to get you registrations, okay? Now, in the first slide here, I want you to understand the overarching concept here is that traffic plus conversions equals kapow. Traffic plus conversions equals kapow, okay? Now, Russell has an incredible way of saying that. He says traffic plus conversions equals sales. And he's 100% right, okay? I like to say that it equals kapow because kapow is more, for me, it's more than sales. It's sales, it's helping people, it's making a difference, it's security, it's relieving pain in people, it's relieving pain in me, it's relieving pleasure or giving pleasure to people and giving pleasure to me, right? So it's kapow. It's like the have-it-all lifestyle that we all want. Okay, so number one thing that we want to understand here is you want to research where your competition are getting their traffic from. Okay, that's really important. You need to research where your competition are getting their traffic from. We've talked about this already, okay? It'll be in a previous video that we've got well up, I believe it's in step 2 by now. So research where your competition are getting their traffic from. Understand where your competition are getting their traffic from to the nth degree, okay? Now you'll see what is converting for them. You'll see what's not working for them as well. You'll see what one of their adverts they have been running for a very, very, very long time. It's really important to understand this. From a basic standpoint though, what I need you to understand is that what we're looking at here, is how you will get the fastest traffic and probably the most targeted traffic for your webinar to get you those power profits out the other side. So for me, 98% of the business that I did for Social Monkey Business came through Facebook ads. So boom, tons of different Facebook ads, and I'm going to show you a ton of them. These are types of things that people would never show you. By the way, one thing, don't copy me, be authentic to yourself. So you see how I've got that pointing thing? You don't have to go out and do that pointing thing. It doesn't mean that you have to do that pointing thing, okay? Be you. Be you, okay? So for me, it was Facebook ads, and what you're actually looking at here is one of my highest converting Facebook ads. So it's me pointing at that, how to become a highly paid social media manager. Register now. So it's Facebook ads plus converting webinar, because you've got to have a converting webinar, equals profits. Okay, so that's where we're going here. Now let's talk about this from a strategic standpoint. How do you get registrants to your webinar? Okay, from a strategic standpoint. Now, for me, pretty much all of it has run directly, as I showed you in the previous slide, straight from a Facebook ad to a webinar registration page, and then they jump on the webinar, then I convert them on the webinar. Okay, and that's how a lot of people have done it. What I didn't realize was that I was doing something kind of unheard of. I was getting cold traffic, converting them live on a webinar to a $997 offer, and apparently that was hard. And I was like, no, it's not hard. You just go out there and you kapow, you give it your all, the same way that I've taught you in this course. So I still believe that the best way to go is Facebook traffic to a webinar registration page, and then just get people warmed up to come on your webinar. Okay. Now, there's a couple of other things just to talk about there. There are a couple of different types of webinars. Okay. As we've talked about before, there is a Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern webinar, right? It's a weekly webinar at Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern. But some of you, that's going to get old. You're like, Liz, I just want to be free. So there's something else called a just-in-time webinar. Okay, so a just-in-time webinar is basically they're registering for the webinar and they're like, oh my gosh, it's on in 15 minutes. Or, oh my gosh, it's on at the top of the hour. That is a just-in-time webinar. And the great thing about a just-in-time webinar is that you've got their attention, and then they get on the webinar, and then boom, they're sold, sometimes much sooner, because the sales cycle is shorter, and the attrition, the potential drop-off rate of people is potentially lower as well. Because on a live webinar, somebody might register on Monday, and then they've got all of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and half of Thursday, where they might get busy or they might forget about it. Okay, so sometimes a lot of people are going into the just-in-time webinar right now, which is great. I will teach you how to do that as well. For me, I'm still going to be running the Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern strategy, and then I'm going to be testing out the just-in-time webinar as well as an auto webinar. So those are there's an auto webinar is basically where they go to your registration page, and they get to select the time that they want to review your webinar. Okay, the downside of auto webinars are they can potentially have a drop in statistics in the conversions, because sometimes people go, this isn't really live, is it? But there are a couple of systems out there that allow you to have a much more of a live feel. And the ones that have a much more of a live feel are the likes of, I believe, Easy Webinar or even Webinar Jam right now. Allows you to have a much more live feel as well, even though it's recorded, okay? Okay, so from a strategic standpoint, one of the other things that you can do to get webinar registrants for potentially a smaller price than normal is actually to run what's called a tripwire offer, where you might be giving away a $7 ebook, or I don't know, you might be able to, just give away something like a tripwire offer where you're getting someone to purchase something, maybe a free plus shipping offer, where you're running a traffic to give something away. And then on the thank you page, after they opt in or after they do something, you can then say, hey, thank you for purchasing XYZ, whatever it is. Obviously you're into dogs, or obviously you're into farming, and I wanted to help you out a little bit more. I wonder if you would be interested in finding out how to blah, 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 blah. And if you are interested in that, you've got to show up for this webinar. I'm actually putting on a live webinar this week. There's a button below for you to be able to register. It's completely free. And on this webinar, I'm going to be teaching you number 1 secret. I'm going to be teaching you number 2 secret. And I'm going to be teaching you number 3 secret. And I'm also going to be giving away a ton of bonuses live on the webinar. Now, if you've never been on a webinar before, don't worry about it. It's called a web class, and by the way, the reason why you sometimes say web class instead of webinar is because depending upon your market, some people don't know what a webinar is. Okay, so if your market needs to hear the words web class, because the word webinar won't mean anything to them, make sure that you say web class and all your branding says web class instead of webinar. Okay, so anyway, there's the point. You get to invite people to your webinar on the thank you page of a Tripwire offer. Okay, now that's a cool way to, I guess, make back your ad spend. Now the conversions on that in terms of registrations is going to be slightly less, but you are getting a customer in the front end as well. And because you're getting a customer, you're getting their email address, so you can potentially remarket back to them in the future to come on your webinar sometime in the future as well. Okay, so even if they missed it the first time, you can remarket back to them in the future. Now, there's a couple of other ways you can do it. One other way that I want to mention here is what you can also do is get people to opt in for something about gardening. If you're into gardening, get whatever your market is, you can basically get them to log into a 7-day series to find out about the 7 secrets of successful potatoes for Christmas or whatever it is. Okay, and then they're opted into your list, and basically you can take them through what's called like a warm-up process. So each email you send them, and you send them an email, give them information, and then invite them to the webinar. Send them the email, give them all the information, and then say, oh my gosh, did you see the offer yesterday? Register for this webinar. So what you're doing there, it's actually kind of an indoctrination process as well as you inviting them to the webinar. Okay, so you might have a 7-day follow-up email series, and on each day you invite them in potentially like a different way to get onto your webinar. Okay, and also you can actually invite people to your auto webinar using that strategy as well. Okay, now I'm going to talk in the next slide, I'm going to talk about free traffic, because there's this idea out there that free traffic is absolutely amazing. And I want to kind of make sure that you are thinking about your business here the right way, because there is a huge potential loss of your time if you don't think about your business and this course creation strategy here the right way. Okay, so the reason why I say this business is, you creating this course is actually a business. Like, it's a business model. So you've got a course, which is your business, and it's a type of business. And if you feed the business with the wrong type of traffic, it's going to end up costing you a ton of time, and you're not going to get the desired results out the other side. Okay, so let's talk about free traffic. The basics of what I want to say here is paid traffic is where home is. I want you to think about this from a strategic standpoint, from a business standpoint. If you're serious about making a lot of money here, you've got to be able to change your mindset to go, okay, free traffic's cool, but I've got to invest in my traffic, and in targeted traffic, I've got to buy some data, which is, potentially you learning what works and what doesn't work, okay? And then basically you get to grow your webinar presence and grow your registrations through paid traffic, okay? Now, I really don't want you to waste time on free stuff, but there's only one real caveat to that. That's social media, and in particular, that is Facebook Live. It costs you nothing to do a Facebook Live, okay? You can boost it, yes, you can pay Facebook some money to boost that Facebook Live if you want to, but the basics here are that Facebook Live is probably the best version of free traffic that is out there right now. Okay, the way I want you thinking about traffic is that traffic is the lifeblood of a converting offer. So let me talk through the slide here a little bit. Okay, we've got Facebook ads here. I've already spoken about Facebook ads a little bit. Okay, we've got email here, right? I've spoken in the past about email, about sometimes, you know, for Kapow course, I'll be launching it to my email list. And because I have a pre-existing email list, I can market to my pre-existing email list because I've already got a relationship with them. They know who this crazy girl called Liz Benny is, okay? And it's phenomenal. It's great. But I didn't start with an email list. I started very poorly with solo ads. I bought, I think, $100 worth of solo ads. No one showed up to the webinar. It was the most bogus traffic I'd ever invested any time and money in, okay? It wasn't until I started with Facebook advertising that I really started to make it, okay? So you've got Facebook, you've got email traffic there. The other two things here that we've spoken about before in this course so far, but I really want to reiterate them here, is that JV, joint venture traffic, is and can be incredible traffic, okay? Especially if you get a webinar with one of your Dream 100 list, somebody who is just perfect to be able to market your product in a way that's a win for them and a win for you. Okay, so finding you great JV partners is so good. It's so good. Okay, so JV partners there. And then on the other side here, we've got affiliates. Okay, so affiliates are just I could be an affiliate for your product, or I could potentially be a JV for your product. And the difference between the two is, from a joint venture standpoint, I mail my list like so many different times, and you and I do a webinar together where, you know, we jump on the webinar together and it's, hey, you know, I'm introducing you to my audience. Whereas the affiliate side of stuff is a little more low key than the JV stuff, where you just kind of send a little bit of traffic. So I'm an affiliate for a lot of different people out there, and I might send a little bit of traffic here and a little bit of traffic there, okay? And the great thing for you is that you can get a ton of affiliates on board for your course as well. And, you know, this one is kind of winning by mass, right? You might have 100 affiliates as an example who, you know, each of them might sell like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your course. Okay, they might send traffic to just get a 1 or 2 or 3 sales, okay? But cumulatively speaking, that's massive. Whereas the JVs are going to be able to do much bigger quantities for you. Okay, so what we're talking about here is traffic. On the left-hand side here is we've got traffic plus webinar conversions. So you convert them on the webinar registration page. Then you've got your pre-webinar emails, you've got your pre-webinar text messages too, if you remember us talking about them, and then they get to meet up with you live on your webinar. Okay, now the big part here is you need traffic to know if your offer converts. The big part here again is you need traffic to know if your offer converts. So the big part here is that, you know, you need to understand the traffic world. You need to send some money. You need to send some traffic to know if your offer converts. You need to send some traffic to test your webinar registration pages as well. Okay, because the title on your webinar registration page might not convert. If you change it up a little bit, then it converts. Okay, so boom. The only way that you're going to know if it converts is if you send traffic. Okay, and then the only way you're going to know if your webinar converts is if you send traffic. Okay, so it's kind of a bit of a mind thing that you've got to get through. It's like, oh well, cool, I've done my webinar now, I've done my course now I've got to send traffic and get this thing converting. Okay, now here's the thing: is that if you followed everything that I've spoken about so far, and if you kind of went, wait a minute, I don't know if it's going to convert now, I need to send traffic now. Yeah, you do need to send traffic to know if it's going to convert. But here's the deal. Even if you don't convert the first time, even if you don't convert the second time, stay with it. Get your traffic to a targeted standpoint. Or if somebody's going to be doing this for you, you need to get the traffic that is right for your offer, that is right for your target market, that is right for your avatar. And I have an incredible friend, his name is Jason, and he started around about the same time as me, and he was like, Liz, how are you converting? I'm like, I'm just converting. He goes, I don't get it, I'm having all this trouble. Okay, And right here, right now, he stuck with his webinar and created his tribe the same way that I'm teaching you here in this course. And he's absolutely crushing it now. And at the beginning, he was struggling like you would not believe because, number one, his traffic wasn't right. And number two, his webinar wasn't quite right for his offer. Then he tweaked his webinar, then boom. Okay, so it's really, 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 really important that you understand here that it's okay to send some traffic. It's good to send some traffic. Don't spend thousands and thousands and thousands on traffic right off the bat, because you're going to need to spend some time scaling your offer up and understanding what is working, okay? The two main things that you need to have converting are your webinar registration page, number one, and your webinar is number two. Okay, so you've probably guessed by now that my favorite is Facebook. Yes. So let me talk to you about this because it's kind of cool. Okay, so I got at the beginning, I was like, okay, cool. I didn't even think in these terms, like how much do I need to put in to get X many out the other side, okay? I wasn't even really tracking my numbers at the beginning, which was kind of silly of me. Like I just kept sending like Facebook traffic and like it was tweaking and changing and tweaking. But then I got to the point where I was like, wait, hold up for a second. If I spend $1,000 on traffic, how much am I making out the other end when my webinar converts? How much am I actually making? So I've got a question for you. If you put $1 in, would you happily make $2 out the other end? Right? If you put $1 in and got $2 back, right? Would you do that? Right? So you're always you're $1 ahead, right? And would you do it if you put $1 in and got $4 out the other end? Right? That's good, right? Well, how about spending $8,000 to make $86,000? That's kind of cool, right? So that's kind of like putting $8 in and making, well, a lot of money out the other end. Okay, so what I want you to understand here is that you've got to think about it from the standpoint of, I'm putting money in, and I want to know what my statistics out the other end are, okay? So I've put dollars in and then made $7 out the other end. I've got webinars where I've made $36 per registrant, $50 per registrant. Some of them were $11 per registrant. Now, you might go, well, Liz, that's a huge fluctuation. Yeah, it is a huge fluctuation, and it happens. Because sometimes your Facebook traffic can dry up with your targets that you're actually going out to, with your interests that you're marketing to. And then you want to tweak things ever so slightly and the gravy train can start again. Okay, so I really want you to understand here that, you know, you're going to get your Facebook traffic going and it's great, it's perfect, it'll be converting. One thing I want you to always do is have a future focus approach and go, okay, cool. Where else can we get traffic from? Even if it's going right now, where else can we be getting traffic from? Is it another targeted group in Facebook? Is it a shout out over on Instagram? Like, where is it, okay? Because the worst number in business is one. Like, one traffic source is hell, okay? For me, I was running one traffic source. It was like Facebook, 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 and then Facebook started to dry up because, you know, a lot of people had seen the offer. Okay, so I was targeting lots of different people, and then they were like, Liz, we've seen it now. Okay, cool, I'll go away now, I'll market somewhere else. Okay, so you've got to be mindful of your offer can become stagnant on Facebook, and you're going to always want to look to see where the next traffic can come from, whether that's a different group in Facebook that you're getting your traffic from, or a JV, or a different type of traffic provider. Okay, so I want you to be thinking in terms of how much do I need to put in to get X out the other side, okay? And what I'd be aiming for, you know, the people below here, below this video who I'm recommending to you, they're used to doing some damn good numbers too. So they're putting money in and making a lot of money out. And I've got to tell you one thing. There are a lot of Facebook gurus out there that brag about putting $1 in and then getting $2 out. I would be like, really? Is that all I did? Like, that's not good enough. But these gurus that are out there are doing that. So my goal for you is to make sure that you're getting really good ROI off the back of your ad spend. Okay. So Facebook by far is my favorite. You're looking at a couple of my ads here. I'm going to show you a couple of my other ads in the next slide as well. Now, I was actually featured in HubSpot. This is an advert that I actually did the copy for this ad. So free webinar, how to build a 6-figure social media management company, make a difference in your life today, register now by Liz Benny. I personally created this ad here in Photoshop. And I also did this copy in here. Somebody else ran it for me, but I did all of the creatives. And you can see down the bottom here that it's got great in terms of shares, it's got great stuff in terms of comments, and it's got great stuff in terms of engagement. So your likes on this page here too. So HubSpot were like, hey, Liz Benny's doing it the right way. I've also been featured by Digital Marketer. They were like, hey, cool, look at what this Liz Benny girl is doing. Okay, so I do kind of know what I'm talking about here in terms of getting registrants for your webinar through Facebook and then converting them out the other side. I personally have spent a ton of money on Facebook advertising, okay? And I know it can be a little bit petrifying to spend so much money on Facebook advertising, but the key thing here that you need to understand is that, you know, make sure your ads are really engaging, like, wow, cool, I'm going to make a difference in your life. Make sure your webinar registration page is converting, and make sure that you followed everything in terms of the perfect webinar and your webinar is converting as well, okay? One quick thing, don't just copy me, be you. I'm going to show you some adverts here, and the reason why I'm going to say don't just copy me, be you, is that not all of these ads that I'm about to show you actually even worked, okay? So if you look at these and go, oh wow, this is what Liz showed me, it's incredible, I want to do it just like that, then you actually don't know what the winning ad is. I've showed you one winning ad, which is great, but I don't want everyone in this course to start suddenly going and doing the pointing thing, because I want you to be authentic for you, okay? People know out there in the market, people have really good meters, like BS meters, okay? So I want you to be you. Don't try to copy me, okay? So let me show you these things. That ad there didn't convert. I know that for a fact. This ad here, you might go, whoa, cool, it's awesome. It's got great graphics in it. Didn't really convert. These are all the ads. My gosh, like I've tried so many different ads. You can see here, seriously, there were so many different ones. Okay, so you can see there were a ton of different Facebook ads. Some of them were great and some of them were just awful, okay? Now, I want to talk about Facebook Live as a different type of Facebook advertising. So what I just showed you before with these ones here, these are static ads. These can be either on the the right-hand side on Facebook, or they can be in the news feed as well. Okay, so these are great ads. These are great. You can do them as dark posts or hidden posts, or whatever they're even calling them these days. Okay, so those are static ads. But if you want to get your message out there in a slightly different way, you definitely want to consider Facebook Live. You heard me talk about it before. One thing is you want to ride the gravy train whilst it's steaming, okay? So whilst this train of the Facebook Live stuff is going and Facebook's algorithm is in your favor, you're going to want to use Facebook Live, okay? And you can actually do an entire webinar on Facebook Live as well. Like your whole webinar, you can actually like get your whiteboard out and go, hey, Facebook Live, I want to show you some incredible stuff. I want to show you how to make 6 to 7 figures as a social media manager. Let me show you right here, right now. So you can actually draw it up on the board and you can teach people about it. And you know, instead of being a 1-hour webinar, you would be putting it down into like a 20-minute type webinar. And you can then boost that if you wanted to. You can send paid traffic to that Facebook Live as well. Okay, and what you can also do after a Facebook Live has gone live, you can actually go back in and edit all of the written content in the description area after the Facebook Live has gone live as well. Okay, so please be mindful of that. Okay, so you can boost your regular Facebook Lives for less than regular Facebook ads in general, okay? So at the time of recording this, that was 100% right. Things do change, so please be mindful of that. And again, if you're not going to be great at this, if Facebook traffic, if this whole idea of traffic is going completely and utterly over your head, it's okay. Get one of the experts below to help you out, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to talk about here, instead of just Facebook Lives and Facebook static ads, which I've talked about already, I want to talk about Facebook video ads. And the concept here is you want them to be educational as well as entertaining, okay? And there'll be a link below here so you can go and watch the incredible James Wedmore. Now, he's a great guy, absolutely phenomenal guy. And I saw one of his ads on Facey and I was like, dude, this is great stuff. So I've actually recorded it for you. It's in the link below here and you can check his advert out as an example of what a Facebook video ad looks like, okay? I really want you to know there that, I mean, I think James is an incredible guy. I want you to be looking at this as, you know, what a Facebook video ad looks like. I don't know what the stats on this particular video ad is. I really don't know what the stats are, but I wanted to show you what a Facebook video ad looked like, okay? They're great from this perspective of warming up your audience. And as I said before, the example of James Wedmore is below. Now, James Wedmore, Russell Brunson, myself, I use video ads too. I'm certainly going to be doing video ads for Kapow Life as it comes to life. And I'm super duper excited. The way that the world is turning is that we're turning into a very video-centric world. So please know that whilst static ads still work, and they still do work, video ads allow you to warm up your audience in a different way for your webinar. Okay, so please be mindful of that. Now, of course, there are people below. Jessie is a person who has done a ton of work with me. She's spent a ton of money sending a ton of very good and very targeted traffic. When I say she spent a ton of money, by the way, what I mean is she hasn't willy-nilly spent that money. She has spent enough money on Facebook for her clients, myself included, that she knows what she's doing. Okay, so if you're looking to outsource the Facebook side of stuff, definitely talk with the amazing Kapow Jessie or anyone else below here. So in the next video, what I'm going to be talking about is your email list and JV stuff and other forms of traffic in a more in-depth way. But for now, I'm going to leave this video right here, right now, talking about Facebook traffic is kind of huge. Again, outsource below if you need to. I think you're amazing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.